Everybody, welcome back to the LTL True Crime Podcast. We are live here on this Sunday evening. It is November 12th, 2023. We're going to try to do our best to get through this one tonight, but I think my voice is sounding a little bit better. I actually got some new medication today. My lungs have been really sore, so they gave me a inhaler, so I've been doing that. And I'll be out of work for the next couple of days, healing up still from home. But I've been meaning to get on and do this. We're going to try to give it our best try this evening. I know that everybody's been very anticipating this stream, and I have myself as well. And I just want to lay a couple of ground rules before we get into the stream itself. Now, obviously, I've had access to the police report that I received back on, let me just check the date, full case file. I received it on the 9th. Okay. So I have looked through it. I'm in the process of redacting it. I probably will go over it on a stream at some point. But I just still want to check into a few things before I do that. Now, the first information that we got, and when I say we, I'm my little assistant that's been helping out, Carrie, behind the scenes, getting all these public records requests. We got the first full body cam footage from the Williams police officer back on the 1st. So that has already been out. I put the full body cam footage of that incident out there. So you've had about 2 weeks to look at that. And then, of course, now I want to back up, move forward. I got the case file on the 9th. So that's a 55-page police report. I'm going to show you right now that I do have it. I have obtained it. I'm in the act of redacting it because there's personal information in there that just doesn't need to be shared at this time. But we will go through it at some point. I don't want to let everybody know I have the case file. So it is here in my possession. Along with the case file, I believe that we received, I'm just going off the top of my head, either 9 or 10 body cam videos and some audio clips that I have put out there. It is now the full case that I have received is out there in the ether. And I just want to make a correction on something that happened today. So I had the restaurant video, probably the most compelling one that I've released, I have to say, in my opinion. Excuse me one second. I meant to release that today at noon. Halfway through listening to it, a business name was mentioned. I said, fuck. I didn't want that business name out there because, frankly, I don't want the business owners being hassled right now, as that tip in the police report is still active investigation as of the 13th of October. Now, we're almost about a month away from that. Actually, I think it's the 16th. We're almost a month away from that now. I understand that. But what I'm going to do is my due diligence and do another public records request and contact the Phoenix Police Department. Actually, Carrie's working on that for me. And we're going to try to get that police report to see if there's been any conclusion in that case. So for the people that are freaking out today, saying that I was hiding stuff and I'm doing this for clicks and views and I'm messing with the timeline, stop, okay? You're getting crazy, all right? Let's not go there. I, if anybody, has probably been the most helpful in this case. No one is talking about it. No one has done the records request that I've done and put out there. So I want to challenge you. If you think that you can do a better job at getting this case out there, getting some eyes on this, getting some transparency in it, do your own research, do your own public records request, and get the information and put it out there at your leisure, okay? I'm trying to do this with respect. I'm trying to do this with dignity and integrity because I don't want to be a dick and put all this stuff out there if it's not in a safe environment. And I'm trying to create that safe environment here on LTL True Crime Podcast. So if you want to do it your own way, step up to the boat. Step up to the boat. That's probably the wrong saying, but step up to the plate. That's what I meant to say. Do your own research. Do your own public records request. Get the information at your hands. Create your own platform. Let me adjust my camera here. Create your own platform and do it your way. If you don't like it the way that I'm doing it, you don't have to watch. You don't have to watch. But there are a lot of eyes on this case. And again, I want to create respect around this. I want to do it with integrity, and I want to do it the right way. So don't attack me. If you attack me, I'm just going to delete you. I'm just going to ignore you. Okay. So if anything, I'm helping in this case because no one's talking about it. And that's what's pissing me off about. There's a young lady out there that is somewhere that we need to find her. Okay. We need to find her. And I think people need to step up and start being transparent and start talking about information they may have. And that's just in my opinion. And I'm also going to say this, PJ, I know you're watching me. You have my number. You and I have talked before. I want you to come on my podcast. We want to hear from you. You're all over social media. You're all over Facebook. I will drop the link to you any single time you want. And I would love to have you come on my panel and tell your story. Tell Chelsea's story, because we want to hear from you. I've heard from every other single person in this case, with the exception of the family, because I am distanced from that. But I am in contact with people that know the family. But I'm calling you out, PJ. Anytime you want to come on LTL True Crime Podcast, I'll drop that link for you, bud. I know you're watching. You comment on my videos. It's fine. If you're here tonight, I'll drop the link for you tonight. You can come on and tell us your story. So what I'm going to do tonight is, before we get actually into my presentation, and again, I kept it real. I didn't edit anything from my research on the timeline. So all the facts that I gathered through all my information, I didn't want to edit it because I know I have the police report, but I wanted to see how close I was to the police report. So keep this in mind when I present this tonight. Okay. I have the police report. I'm probably going to do a second timeline and use my information and add that in with the actual police report and get a full timeline. It's a lot of information. It's 55 pages. If you don't think that the police department is not working hard on this case, you got another thing coming to you. 55 pages is really long. It's really long. They really care about this young lady. And I'll tell you this, the detectives that are working on this case, those are the detectives I would want looking for me. Guarantee, hands down. They're doing a phenomenal job and they're doing a phenomenal work. So I'm very proud of what they're doing. And I'm really proud of the people that have reached out and give positive comments about this and give positive information, maybe things that I could look into and check. So, everything's been positive, but the most positive thing here is bringing Chelsea home, because we want to do that. So I'm going to do first, I'm going to read a little bit of a summary or a statement, and then we'll get into the actual timeline that I put together. And again, I want to make this ultra clear. This was my own investigation, kind of gathering my facts, looking at, media sources, Facebook posts, talking with Steve from SI Investigates. And I'll tell you this, the information that Steve gave me, and I know that there's some people that love him, there's some people that hate him, but I'm going to tell you this. I talked with Steve for about an hour and a half. I felt that he was very forthcoming and very transparent with me. And I actually really enjoyed talking to him. I think he had some excitement about him because him and I are both in that same place. We want to find Chelsea. And I think for the first time, he was really excited to sit down with someone that had the vested interest that he does in this case. And we just threw a lot of stuff back and forth. And the stuff that he told me, when I compare it to the police report, matches up 100%. 100%. There was no bullshit in his reporting. So I have to say, Steve, thank you for being transparent with me. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you an hour and a half. And I would invite you anytime on the LTL True Crime Podcast to come hang out on here. We would love to hear about your boots on the ground investigation into Chelsea's case. All right, my friends, I'm going to take this off because I'm a little bit hot-heated right now. But we're going to try to move on with the show and do this in a positive direction. And I will show you the timeline that I put together. And we'll do an updated stream at some point when I re-update it off the police report. Okay, let me read this statement before we get into the timeline. Excuse me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here tonight, I want to share with you the deeply personal reasons that drove me to immerse myself in the investigation of Chelsea Grimm's disappearance. Her story, one of a 32-year-old California woman seeking adventure and connection on a road trip to Connecticut, struck a chord with me. The idea of a journey that was so meant to be filled with discovery and joy turning into a total mystery left me with a sense of unease that I just couldn't shake. When Chelsea's parents reported her missing on October 4th, the gravity of the situation became apparent. Her last known location was in Ashfork, Arizona, where she was camping in her car until September 30th. However, after a sighting, she seemingly vanished in the Kaibab National Park. I knew I was going to screw that up. National Forest. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance, in my honest opinion, are deeply troubling, and the uncertainty of the situation weighed heavily on my conscience. Fueled determination to find truth, I delved headfirst in this investigation. I conducted personal interviews with those who knew Chelsea intimately, her friends, the dedicated private investigator, Steve from SF Investigates, Chelsea's acquaintance Elias, and even her ex-boyfriend, PJ. Together, their accounts, news reports, and tangible evidence wove my timeline that painted a vivid picture, in my opinion, of Chelsea's last known moments. The discovery of Chelsea's abandoned car and its flat tires on the side of the road on October 5th indicated an abrupt halt in her journey. Then her strange disappearance. These details underscored the pressing need for action. I asked everyone to connect to this case, no matter how seemingly insignificant you may think something will be, to come forward. Transparency is not just virtue, but it's our duty to Chelsea and her family and the loved ones. In conclusion, I want to address the perplexing silence surrounding Chelsea's case. Despite my initial presentation, I have since obtained the full case file, revealing crucial details that, in my opinion, demand attention. Why this case is not being talked about? Why is this case not being talked about? What is the reason for the silence that surrounds it? In the past days, I've released new body cam footage and, excuse me, a step towards transparency, and hope that someone in the public may see or hear something that can provide a breakthrough. I've always maintained that I will share any information that I believe can aid in the investigation, no matter how small and unconventional it may seem. If it can aid in the legal process, I will release it without hesitation. I believe in our collective efforts that will make this difference. Together, we can bring Chelsea home. All right, let's check this out. This is about a week worth of frustration that I haven't been able to talk about this. That's just built up inside of me. So, all right, let's do this timeline. Excuse me. Okay. So again, I want to make sure that I'm very transparent about this. This was my investigation, my notes, my input that I felt was the best effort that I could come up with. And again, I talked about, I do have the full police report, but I didn't want to edit anything here. I wanted to keep it true to, and you're going to see a lot of Steve in here. You're going to see a lot of Steve, because Steve and I had about an hour and a half conversation, and he was there. He was there. So, you're going to see a lot of me referencing that. Okay, let's pull this up so you all can take a look at this. This is a presentation that I put together for tonight, and we're going to read through it. I hope this goes as well for all of you. Maybe this will shed some light onto some new things that you may not have heard. Maybe these are things that you know about. Maybe it's new information that you will see, but I feel like I've vetted it as best as I could. I'm not perfect, but a lot of the stuff that I had together, I was really surprised. And I said this to Carrie. I said, I can't wait to open the police report and look at the timeline that I put together and cross-referencing together. And it's pretty damn close. It's pretty damn close. Okay, so let me just widen this up a little bit more. So on 9/24/23, Chelsea Grimm leaves home in Ocean Beach, San Diego, headed for a wedding in Connecticut. She was traveling with her pet bearded dragon, Roxy. PJ states, during a call that I had with him on 10/28/23, she gave him personal items before she leaves. So you can take that in any way you want and process that information. Okay, on 9/24/23, SF investigates, geolocates a photo Chelsea took, and it places her on 8 freeway in San Diego on her way out of town. Chelsea posts on her Instagram story a few photos traveling from in and around the area of Live Oak Springs, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, Manzanita, California. And that's on 9/24/23. All right. So now, excuse me, 9/25/23 and 9/26/23. These are the dates for this. Chelsea posts a Bible study photo on her Instagram story. Quote, Bible study was quick this morning, but it also is reaffirming. Off to Arizona to see my girlie. On 9/25/23 at 4:52 p.m., she's at a memorial in Wellington, Arizona. At 9/25/23 at 5:27 p.m., she's at a rest stop in Tacnia, Arizona. And I think she was there for a little while, from what I understand, a good 30 minutes. At 9/25/23, excuse me, at 6:19 p.m., she's at Gila Bend, Arizona, less than 90 minutes from Phoenix, Arizona. Later on, during the morning of 9/26/23, Chelsea arrives in Phoenix, Arizona, and checks into a reserved hotel at 1:06 a.m. And that also was confirmed by Steve from SF Investigates. So everybody's still with me? Are there any surprises yet? Is this information that you heard? Let me just take a moment here and just look at the chat. We'll slow down a little bit. Is it everybody still with me? Please take a moment, smash that like button. Let's get this up. We got about 142 people watching. We can do better than that. It's free to hit that like button. The chat is moving really slow. No one's typing. All right, we're going to move on. Okay, 9/26/23. PJ states during our call on 10/28/23, Chelsea was 3 hours away from home trying to get into a hotel and asked him to drive out to meet her, but he didn't have gas for his motorcycle. He talked with her twice on the phone that day. Okay, we're going to go to 9/27/23. Still in Phoenix. I just want to make sure everybody can see this because the print gets kind of small at one point. Still in Phoenix, she meets up with a woman friend. After meeting up with that friend, she calls her parents to let her know that she doesn't think that she'll make the drive by herself and plans on camping for a few days. Then she'll return to San Diego. She plans to meet up with the same friend and the next day on 9/28 for lunch, but cancels the morning of the 28th. Excuse me. Okay. We're going to move on. So 9/27/23, the last day Chelsea speaks with her parents is on 9/27/23. Okay, 9/28/23. PJ states during our 10/28/23 phone call, a group message from Chelsea is sent to friends on 9/26 or 9/27, then relayed to him on the 28th because his phone wasn't working. Quote from Chelsea, tell PJ that I'm okay and I'm going to be in nature for a couple weeks and tell him I love him. That is his quote. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. That is his quote that he told me during our phone call. 9/28/23. Chelsea's cell phone is pinged, but is turned off on the 28th or 29th, and all contact stops. Okay, now we're going to start getting a little deeper. Let me see. So make sure everybody can see this. All right, good. It's good enough. All right. SF investigates reports at 11 a.m. Chelsea shows up at an undisclosed hotel in Slagelman, Arizona, sits outside the parking lot for about 40 minutes before going in and attempting to book a room under using her credit card, then rejects the idea because, quote, she doesn't want to be tracked by the card or by using her name. She then tries to pay for the room using euros. She has euros on her, but no US cash. There is a conversation about why she doesn't want to be tracked, and those details SFI can't disclose right now. She talks about staying off the grid, and that was a quote from Chelsea, and mentions changing her name. Chelsea leaves and comes back about 2 hours later and has a conversation with the wife of the owner, and even more is disclosed about her situation. Owner's wife states that Chelsea seemed present, but something was off. Okay. And again, I just want to make it very clear before we move on. This was my investigation with all the people that I talked to that have been related to this case. I did not have the police report yet. So there are a lot more details that are not out there yet that I will get out at some point. But I just want to make sure this was my interpretation of my investigation. But it matched pretty good up to the police report, which is pretty good. I was surprised. Okay. 9/28/23. SFI reports that Chelsea is tracked to a business in Williams, Arizona, sometime in the afternoon after she appeared at the hotel in Slagelman, Arizona. She writes a message on the receipt from that business with a timestamp on the receipt of 4:10 p.m. that is later retrieved from her abandoned SUV by SFI. SFI says the message should and needs to be further investigated. Witnesses at that business say she could have arrived in another vehicle. Okay, we're going to move on to 9/28/23. More information. And I think we all know this. This is the body cam information. At 8:40 p.m., Williams, Arizona, police body cam footage shows that an officer making contact with 32-year-old Grimm after authorities receive a report about a suspicious person near a cemetery. Chelsea is found crying when approached by the officer. There is a conversation asking her if she's okay. She says she was upset because of a photo project, The Lost Soldiers, and that quote is wrong. I messed up on that quote. It's The Lost and Forgotten People. Something to that effect. So I want to correct myself on that. Lost and Forgotten People. And I think she might have said of America too. She was documenting and became emotional. The officer let her go and directs her to a Love's gas station to sleep there for the night if she'd like to. SFI reports that he meets
with the GM of Love's and has provided access to the surveillance footage. Surveillance does not show Chelsea, but rather another woman that the employees thought might be her, but it was a much older woman that management made contact with and is a known transient in the area. No, SFI reports that there are no photos or any indication of a lost and forgotten soldiers project on her camera when he obtains it. All right, I'm going to stop for a second. I'm going to recognize this super chat. I thank everybody for being here tonight. It's a very important stream. And again, I want to be very transparent through this. This was my investigation, my thoughts, my information that I put into this timeline. I now have the 55-page police report, and it's pretty close. What I came up with is pretty close. There's a lot of details that still need to be added in. And of course, at some point, I'll do a parallel timeline to this and fill in the gap. I got 55 pages to go through. And again, I said this at the beginning of the stream, if you're just coming in. The officers that are investing in this case, the PIs that are investing in this case, have done a phenomenal job with the information that they've come up. And again, if I was in any kind of trouble, those would be the police those would be the people that I would want looking for me, because they're doing a phenomenal job. Danielle, thank you so much for the $4.99. I appreciate it. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. Well, thank you for being here. And I hope that this sheds some more light, that you can process through this after and just give you some ideas, or maybe some thoughts, or maybe someone that's watching tonight sees something, hears something in my presentation that may jar a memory. Maybe you were there, an event, something that you saw, piece of clothing, a book, anything. If you were out in that area during this time, and it processes with you, and it says, hey, you know what? This might sound stupid, but this is a tip that I can call in. Please call in the tip. That's what we want you to do. Get all the information over the Coconino Police Department. It's very important. And this is the thing. I look at right now, we have the trolls. We're doing something super positive here tonight. I haven't done anything. I haven't said anything bad. And they're reporting my stream because these people don't want transparency on this channel, or they're just very jealous people. They come into the chat, they report it, and it's dumb. I just hit one button. They're going to remonetize this in 10 minutes, and it's people like you that hold back investigations like this. And you should know better. You should know better, because you know why? You probably have a channel like this. You probably cover similar content. I don't take the time to do things like that to other creators. And I know it's other creators because they're angry and they're jealous and they're upset. But I'm not going to let that deter us tonight, because we have a mission. So we're going to move on from that thought and get refocused back on this timeline. But so I was going to say, please, if you know anything, 1-800-338-7888. You can call the Coconino Sheriff Department and call in your tips. Even if you think it's the dumbest tip, it may be the biggest thing for this case. So, Danielle, thank you again for the $4.99. All right, we're going to move on. 9/29/23 at 6:40 a.m. on the 29th, SF Investigates reports that Chelsea was taking photos inside the Kaibab National Forest. SFI reports that she was up 8 miles from where her SUV was found when police found it on 10/5/23. SFI reports that an eyewitness states that Chelsea was outside her car taking photos, and there was another occupant in the driver's seat on their phone. The witness also states that when they returned to the area at around 8:40 a.m., and the witness also reported at 6:40, the same witness, Chelsea and the occupant were both inside the car. SFI reports that Chelsea stopped taking photos around 11:30. And the reason that he knows that is because he's looked at her camera and looked at the photos. SFI says witness makes their final exit out of the forest at around noon and her SUV was gone. SFI speaks with witness husband and sends photos of that location during his investigation, trying to pinpoint the location of the sighting. A few days later, when SFI gets Chelsea's camera, here we go right here, from Coconino Sheriff Department, he geolocates some of the photos on her camera and it puts her in that very exact spot of the witness sighting. Note, SFI states that during his search, he does not see that there was any indication to believe that she had anyone traveling with her. I will say this portion is in the police report. This is a tip that came in and it is in the police report. So I can verify that. Let me just take a sip of water here and we'll move on. Okay. Just give me 2 seconds. Just gonna clear my throat. Excuse me. Okay. 9/30/23. A woodcutter spotted Grimm in the area of Ashfork Arizona National Forest, Forest Service Road 6, west of Williams. He's seen her, and she seemed that she was okay. Authorities say that was the last time she was seen. SFI reports last selfie photo taken with Chelsea and her camera was at 5:51 p.m. in her SUV, in spotted where her abandoned SUV will be found days later. On 11/1/23, SFI reports, I have attached one photo proving she was in her car at 5:51 Pacific time on September 30th. For those who will say maybe she didn't take the photo, there are others at the same time where she is visible, but out of respect for her privacy, I'm not showing the photo that includes her in it. Godspeed, Chelsea. And that was on his X or Twitter account, however you want to call it. Okay, on 10/4/23, Chelsea's parents report Chelsea missing to the Phoenix, Arizona police. Okay, if y'all can just take a minute, I'm going to pause for 2 seconds. I love the audience tonight. If y'all can do me a favor, we're at about 127 likes. If you can, please smash that like button. It's the most important thing. We want to try to get this up to about $1.50 before it ends tonight. Excuse me 1 second. Okay. So 10/5/23, Chelsea's abandoned SUV is found in the area of Ashfork Arizona National Forest, Forest Road 6, west of Williams, who was last seen by a woodcutter on 9/30/23. SFI states both passenger side tires were not slashed. And now that we know, we've seen the body cam footage that I've released, so you know the conditions of the tires. And this was all prior to me having the police report and having the body cam footage to put out there. SFI states both passenger side tires were not slashed. Most of her personal items were taken, even her bearded dragon. When recovered by SFI, her SUV appeared to be lived in. Now, that is a very strange thing that I noticed in this too. If you look at the second video that I put out, when they go out on 10/5, the officer goes out on 10/5 in Kaibab, and Kaibab, I'm sorry, I say Beeb because I don't know, for some reason I'm thinking like Justin Bieber or something. Kaibab National Park on 10/5. And you show him kind of walking up to the car. He shines his light out in the field. He wants to see if anybody's out there, but comes back around to the car and looks in. That car is very neat inside. And I've seen footage of when the car was picked up. Now, I understand the state police, the Coconino Sheriff Department, what they call tossed the car. They went through it. But when I saw a video of the after, her car was pretty dirty and there was a lot of dirt and there was like branches in her car and stuff. was really weird. It was very odd. So that's something to take mental note of too. They did inventory her whole car, whatever items were still left in there. That is in the police report. They did take swabs of the vehicle. So I do know about that. They lifted fingerprints, which is great. Like, typical touch areas, rear view mirror, windows, door handles, inside, all that stuff that they would normally do, which is great. So we have fingerprints. Now, I don't know if there's any match to those. It's not in the police report, but we're going to keep looking into it. We'll do our best. But I wanted to give you some of those nuggets and some of those information as well. How do you know the tires were down? Well, if you look in the video, her tires were run flats and they were run down nearly to the rim. So probably what happened was those farm roads, especially out in that area, there's a lot of lava rock out there. But I also want to note this too, and you can see it in the video, and the police actually note this on the police report and in the body cam footage, that she sustained damage on that passenger side of the car. Like either she was run into or hit. And they did find a branch or branches stuck inside, I think, the grill of her car. And one of the officers talks about that, I think, to the hunter in the video or the woodcutter. Can't remember. It's like weird, I feel like we're living in this real game of Clue. You have the woodcutter and you have the hunter and you have the witness and you have the restaurant owner. I literally feel like we're living in this strange, bizarre world of Clue. And I'm waiting for, what's his name? Shit. Yeah, I just told, and I was trying to get to a good anecdote here and I totally just lost his name. Damn it. Tim Curry. I feel like Tim Curry is going to pop up as the butler at any moment. I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but that's what I feel like we're living in right now. It's just this, it's the woodcutter and it's the hunter. That's when all this stuff coming out. This is what I've been seeing, in the comments. And it's like, these are just pieces of information to the case. Let's get it out there. Let's people start seeing this stuff. Maybe this can help, as far as the clothing, I know a lot of people have been talking about that on the tree. We have really no way of identifying if that was Chelsea's clothing. I have no way. I don't personally know Chelsea, but I think it was good to get that out there because maybe a friend says, hey, you know what? I did see her wearing that jacket or that dress or that shirt. There's a lot of weird things that are left behind out in the desert, especially in those areas, those camping areas. You got to think there's hundreds of people that probably come through there a day. It's a very popular area. So people leave shit behind. They leave trash. They leave garbage. They leave clothes. Is it weird? Yes, absolutely. Is it something that should be noted? Of course, because it could be evidence in this case. Okay, we're going to move on to the timeline. I hope everybody's still with me. I hope that a lot of this is making sense for all of you. And maybe this will line up with some of the things that you've had on your mind. Okay. So on 10/13/23, ex-boyfriend PJ and friend Elias start using social media to promote their search efforts for Chelsea. A controversial GoFundMe campaign is started by PJ and Elias with a $30,000 goal to fund money to assist in finding Chelsea. And I'm going to do this as well too. PJ, I know you watch my streams and I know that you're probably, I think Steve is in the chat right now. And I know that you're probably watching, PJ, and I'm going to put this out for you. Come on, LTL True Crime Podcast. I'd love to have you on my panel. You're talking a lot on social media. You have my number. We've chatted before. You stopped texting me just around Halloween, but I'd love to have you on my show because we want to hear your story and we want to hear Chelsea's story from your point of view too. I don't know if that is actual Steve, but if that is Steve in the chat, just DM me through Twitter and confirm that it is you. Okay, let's keep moving on here. Ex-boyfriend PJ and friend Elias give first update on Instagram In Chelsea's search effort, he continues to give daily updates until 10/23. So that was about a 10-day span. And I must say, the GoFundMe is still live, Elias makes a public apology about controversial GoFundMe campaign on his Instagram account. Quote, please read, I am not exploiting anyone for financial gain. I was simply helping someone who claimed, and there may be or may not be, let me back up here and try this again. I was simply helping someone who claimed and may or may not be. That is Steve in the chat. Awesome. Steve, thanks for watching, buddy. And, I don't know if you heard this. I don't know if you heard this earlier. I'm going to pull this up. I just want to let Steve know, and I don't know if you've been here for the full chat. You've done a phenomenal job, and I appreciate the hour and a half that you and I spent together. And I said, to everybody in the audience today that it was almost like you had this bit of excitement to talk about this stuff, because I know that you spent, quite a bit of time of boots on the ground. And I felt that we had that genuine connection because you and I are so invested in this. And I know this, Steve, that you still continue to think about this. I know it. I know you do, because I do every day when I wake up. And it's become very personal for me. And I know it's been very personal for you. And again, I want to commend you for everything that you did. And I want to commend the officers as well. And I said this earlier. If I was lost, the people that have been investigating this or has investigated, those would be the people that I would want looking for me. So you definitely would be one of those people on my top of the list, and the wonderful officers out there that have done an amazing job. And this investigation continues right now. I know it is continuing, and we're going to continue to get those police reports and get this information out there, because we need every single person talking about this case now. And if I have to stand on this soapbox on this little 12,000 subscriber channel, and beat that drum for the mainstream media to project this and get this case out there and talk more about it, I will do that. So I'm calling out Brian Enton, News Nation, Ashley Banfield, News Nation. You need to start looking into this. You need more reporting on it. You did it 3 weeks ago and we haven't heard anything. If I'm able to do this from my bedroom, what I'm doing right now, if I'm able to do this, you have a plethora of resources at the tip of your fingers. And I'm calling you out. Do a story on this. Look into it. Let's find Chelsea. Let's get this national and world news. It's very important. It's very, very important. Something's not right here, and we need to figure it out. So we need your help. We need your help to project this platform and get it out there. So I'm calling you to the table. Please get involved. Get involved. We need more from you. You have further reach than this tiny YouTube channel. Believe me. Excuse me, guys. I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay. Steve, great to see you here tonight. Thank you. All right. We're going to keep moving on. So 10/15/23, Chelsea Grimm's friend calls the LTL True Crime podcast to discuss the details in Chelsea's case. And that was the first time that I had any interaction with one of her friends. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate the time. And I appreciate the group that I've been involved in, talking and kind of mulling over ideas and get a sense of who Chelsea was. So thank you. Here, it was the first report. 10/16/23. It's been almost a month. News Nation, Brian Enton reports that Chelsea's parents has hired private investigator Kelly Townsend to assist in Chelsea's case. My friends, I might have to stop and get some more water really quick. Just give me 2 seconds, okay? Let me pause for 2 seconds. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so on okay, on 10/17/23, Kelly Townsend hires Steve Fisher investigates to assist with boots on the ground investigating in Chelsea's case. On 10/17/23, Chelsea Grimm's friend joins the LTL True Crime podcast to discuss details in Chelsea's case. And that's when I had her live on that panel. If you haven't seen any of that footage or those shows, you can go right on my homepage. Just look under the tab of the playlist of Chelsea Grimm missing person case, and you'll be able to watch all those interviews. And I had an interview with Elias as well too. And you'll see that. On 10/17/23, Chelsea's sister, I'm going to leave her name out of this. I'm sure you all know, but out of respect to her and the family, I'm going to keep her name out. And I didn't show a public picture of her. That's her business. Chelsea's sister denounces GoFundMe campaign on Facebook that PJ and Elias started to aid in the search efforts for Chelsea. To this day, that GoFundMe is still live. Did I get a super chat? I'm sorry. Let's just pull this super chat up. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, my Japanese friend. Thank you so much. This is Brian. Thank you for your hard work. Need some kind of medicine for your throat. Brian's son. I've got AM off science this morning, this Monday morning here in Japan. Japan watching tonight. Amazing stuff. My friend from Japan. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Really cool. And I'm sorry. 1,600 yen. Thank you. My Japanese friends in the house tonight. Japan watching. We're worldwide tonight. Very cool. Very, very cool. Let me just do a quick refresh, take a sip of water, and we'll move on. Excuse me. Okay. Moving on through the timeline. Elias joins the LTL True Crime podcast panel and gives updates on in Chelsea's search efforts. The GoFundMe at that point is still live. If you remember, I called Elias out at the end of the show and we caught him in a little sticky situation. Remember, he said, "Oh, well, I was on the phone with Chelsea's sister and I took down the GoFundMe account." And I went, "Really?" And we looked and the GoFundMe account was still live. And he went, "Oh, well, I thought that we did. And then I'm having technical difficulties of getting it down. Maybe it's my phone. Maybe it's that." And he scooted out of there really quick. So I want to make sure that we get that on the record as well, too. Anytime, Elias, you want to come back on LTL True Crime Podcast, talk about that GoFundMe account, I'll drop the link for you. No problem. All right. So Steve, again, investigates updates daily on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, in his search efforts into Chelsea's case, makes his last post about her case on 11/1/23. And I would just say refer to @Steve_investigates on X to track his progress. And he did investigating from 10/20/23 all the way up to 11/1/23. Okay. Steve again posts on X 10/24/23. I want to add that there will be not a GoFundMe, and this is denouncing that GoFundMe. There will be not a GoFundMe for the search and rescue efforts for Chelsea Grimm. I have been retained by the family's lead investigator to run a SAR mission or SAR mission. The family is not seeking donations. Any GoFundMe in Chelsea's name is a scam. We ask for awareness, not money. On 10/25/23, ex-boyfriend PJ is arrested and released in Tennessee on unrelated charges to Chelsea's disappearance. Okay. Now, on 10/28/23, ex-boyfriend PJ calls LTL True Crime Podcast, and I have a 30-minute conversation about Chelsea's disappearance and his search efforts. That was a phone call that I had with him. I took notes. All right, I'm going to move on. LTL True Crime Podcast has lost contact with PJ via text. And this is the quote from him. Happy Halloween, Brian. Hey, man, spent a lot of new stuff on Facebook thing, which Chelsea, I've been making a lot of presents there, and I think maybe you should look at it. And that's on Halloween. Well, you know what, PJ? I think you should do this. I think you should make your presence on the LTL True Crime Podcast. Again, if you're ever in the chat, you want me to drop the link, we'll have you on. I'd love to have you over here and hear your story and hear some information about Chelsea. Steve again investigates, posts his last tweet on X regarding Chelsea's case. That was on 11/1/23. 11/5/23. LTL True Crime Podcast has an hour and a half conversation regarding Steve's personal research and efforts into the Chelsea's case. Again, Chelsea's GoFundMe set up from Elias and PJ is still live. The scam GoFundMe is still live. And I'm going to look right now, and it's probably still live. Let's take a look. Still live. Still live. 11/5/23. PJ post on TikTok that he's trying to get in contact with a social media company that will help him build several social media pages to help with the aid in finding Chelsea. He claims that he's starting a new GoFundMe account to fund the search and rescue efforts. I have a platform right here, bud. You can come on. It's free to come on my platform, and you can get out any information you want about your search and rescue efforts in Chelsea's case. Again, I'd love to have you on here anytime. Anytime my platform is open to you. We have an open platform here, so anytime. Okay. Steve again tweets on X 11/6/23. Snow is scheduled to start falling in Williams, Arizona next week. Starting tomorrow, the temps will fall below freezing every night. To those local searches, that continues searching day after day, and nobody's thanking or acknowledging you. I want you to know I appreciate each of you. When friends interfere with selfish reasons, wanting to be the big shot, you keep your boots on the ground and continue to search. Despite being ignored, you keep searching for a total stranger, and you are the only people searching while a secret plan to put into place. Secrecy has never solved a single mission person's case, ever. You are the heroes there in Williams and Ashfork. Day after day, you go out and search, and I want to publicly say thank you. You are appreciated. Thank you for what you continue to do, and thank you for all assistance you provided me. You might not be appreciated by the people that should most appreciate you, but I appreciate you and the people that follow me and support you. You are the kind of people we need more of. And again, that's a quote from Steve. I put that out there. It's on his X or Twitter. So it is, part of what's going on here. All right. And basically, here's the last update, guys. So on 9/11/23, LTL True Crime Podcast obtains Chelsea Grimm's police report and body cam videos. I just said videos. I started posting the new body cam footage on the evening of 11/9/23. And I'll tell you a little bit of a story about that. I'm sitting there, and I'm actually was chatting with Carrie, because we've been talking about this case a lot, very extensively. And I had the information sent to my mother's house because sometimes I'm not home and I didn't want to lose it, sensitive information. All of a sudden, I get a text from my mom, and she says, "Oh, a yellow envelope came." And I think I still have it. Hang on. That yellow envelope shows up right there. It says Flagstaff, Arizona. Comes out of Flagstaff. So that shows up, and then I get that. And that was the case files. And I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep it right up here until Chelsea comes home. And I said, I run over to my mom's house, grab the thing. I'm like shaking. I get back. It had a bunch of paperwork in it. Actually emails that we were going back and forth requesting the records. That was in there. Some instructions how to put the thing in and get the files. And I get on Instagram and I go, Carrie, it came. She's like, what are you talking about? I have everything. I have the case file. So I'm like, what's the first thing you want to look at? You want to look at all the body cam footage. There's like 9 or 10 videos on there. So I start pulling up and I look at the first one in Kaibab, that first night on the 5th. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just, it's crazy. It's haunting. And I'm like, I'm messaging Carrie, I have everything. I have everything. Well, here's stupid me. Inside there's a PDF file and I click on it and I open it and it shows that first page of the case report. I thought I just got body cam footage. I didn't realize, stupid me, hello, scroll down. You get 55 pages there to look at, bud. So I'm like, oh, and I didn't realize it till like a day or two later. I said, Carrie, I started laughing. I said, you don't even believe I have the whole time I've had the police report and I didn't even know I had it. So it was funny. Just a little bit of an anecdote there. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at, and again, I just want to go back to, that was my timeline that I put together through interviews, tracking stuff down. I didn't want to skew from it, knowing that I had the police report because I could have rewrote the whole thing. And I think what I want to do at some point is do a parallel one, or maybe just do a full redacted police report. I'm going to be honest with you. There is sensitive information inside that police report that I don't want out to the public. I want to do it with integrity. And if I do show the police report or go through sections of it, we're going to redact information, people's names, their addresses, phone numbers, personal stuff that may have to do with someone's medical history. People don't need to know that shit. And that's none of your business. So I'm going to black it out and redact it if I do decide to go there and show any of it. But I may do an dated parallel timeline to it as well. So it's really all I have, and I just urge everybody, please, if you know anything about Chelsea's case, please call the Coconino County Sheriff Department at 800-338-7888. That's 800-338-7888. I will continue to report on this. I don't know the frequency again, but I'm going to spend most of my time, my free time, looking into this, going through the case files. And Carrie and I are trying to obtain more right now, more information. So we're reaching out to different departments that are involved in this case so we can get their case files as well too. Carrie, thank you so much for being kind of my little secretary behind the scenes. You're doing great work. And we have some other case information that we're getting, and we're going to start doing all that on LTL True Crime Podcast as well, body cam footage. We're starting to learn all that. We're starting to learn how to do that stuff now. Public records request. I thought it was a lot harder. It's actually pretty easy. And that's what I said. If anybody is criticizing what I'm doing, I'm going to tell you, I think I've been the most person that's got the most information out there on this case. I don't want anything out of it. All I want is Chelsea to come home. That's all I want. I just want to get the information because no one's talking about this case. No one is talking about it. And it's time to put it out there, and it's time to be transparent, and it's time to give people clues in that local area to start looking and hearing and seeing things. Again, maybe I saw something. Maybe someone passed me and said something. Anything. If you think it's a tip, call it in. As stupid as it may sound, and believe me, there's some ridiculous things in that police report. I know someone called in and said aliens. That's a good one. But again, call it in. It might be something small, but it could turn into the biggest lead. It's a strange case, and it's a weird case, and it baffles me. And it's funny, if Steve's still in the chat, when him and I talked, we said, you start looking at something, you start writing it down to connect the dots, and you get almost to the end of that lead, almost to that end of that conclusion. And then something happens where a new piece of information comes in, and it's like, fuck, that's not what it is. That's not the direction. That's not where it goes. And we talked about that extensively. And, I want to say this too, Steve, when you're ready, if you're ready, I know we talked about this. I'd love to have you on the podcast and talk about this, or maybe talk a little bit about what you do. We'd love to hear that as well. To have someone that goes in, boots on the ground, and investigates these kinds of cases and does this kind of work to bring people home, I think is a pretty admirable thing. And it's something that honestly, I would love to do someday, learn the trade of that to get out and help people. But if I can do that from my bedroom here, in my little corner of my bedroom, it's what I want to do. And especially with this case, because I'm just so emotionally invested in it now. So I don't know. I think that's it. I hope that this timeline brought some clarity to maybe some questions that people have, or maybe, reformulate some ideas that you may have. And it's a very, very important. Yeah, that's great. Steve, reach out to me, man. Let's do it soon. I think it's important. So Cheryl, come on, let's set it up and talk about Chelsea. Thank you, man. I think we need to do that. It's very important. But, again, I'm just going to close the show with this. If you are upset with what I'm doing, do your own public records request, get the footage, put out there what you want to put out there, start your own platform, because I haven't seen anybody else doing it. And I encourage even just more creators now that this information's out there, talk about this, get it out to your audiences. If you want to use something that I've dug up, if you want to use some body cam footage or whatever, reach out to me and we'll work something out. Please. I don't mind. I'm a very easygoing guy in that sense. The more platforms we can get this across, let's do it. Let's talk about this case. I know every single person is wrapped up in Idaho right now. It's ridiculous. You're going to see the stream starting tonight. They probably already have this week. Looking back 1 year, there's 2020. There's Court TV. There's all the other big channels that are doing this stuff on YouTube. Do we really need to look back? We already know what happened there. We already understand what happened. This case needs to go to trial. And I will continue to report on it, but I'm only going to report on it when new information comes up. I can't sit here anymore and make 5,000 videos a month about Idaho. It's goofy in my opinion. We know where we're at in the case. We know where we stand. It's a very difficult case, and it'll get there at some point. That's if it goes to trial or a plea deal happens. So again, I'm not going to beat that horse, but I'm going to beat this drum, and I'm going to keep beating this drum, and I will keep putting stuff out there about this case until Chelsea comes home, because that's what we want. And Chelsea, if you are watching tonight, please call my business line, 774-855-9400, or reach out to Steve, SF Investigates, on Twitter or X, SF_investigates. He will help you. He will help you. Trust me. He will help you. Or if you don't feel comfortable with that, call the Coconino Sheriff's Department, 800-338-7888. They can help you. So, my friends, thank you so much. We spent an amazing night tonight. If you're new over here on the channel, and you're just checking it out, please subscribe. Please subscribe. I do appreciate it. So Body Blow Biscuit Butter, that's a great name. $1.99. Do you know if PJ and Elias is cleared? I don't see anything in the police report. All I know is that the investigators have talked to PJ as far as the length and the actor investigation, and that there's nothing in that police report right now. So again, PJ wants to come on, talk. I told you a million times over in the stream, I'd love to have you on my show, man. Reach out to me. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Thank you for the $1.99, by the way. So my friends, I'm going to get off. I'm going to rest my voice. I'm going to be back tomorrow night. I'm going to do some Anthony Farah, Timepiece Gentleman. I know it's probably not as important as this stream, but I will continue to report on this. Let me think about the police report. Maybe you do some sections of it. You have a lot of material to go over. Go to my homepage. If you're new to this case, go to my homepage. Look at Chelsea Grimm. I'm going to pull that up really quick and show you. Chelsea Grimm missing person. I'll show you really quick. Right here. You can go over to my homepage right here. Chelsea Grimm missing person case, and go through all the information that is out there that I've done, all the material that I've done on this. Please give it a watch, give it a listen, anything, cue it up, listen to it while you go to bed, listen to it. There's important information there. It needs to get out to the public. We need to share this information. Oh, and by the way, here's the GoFundMe account. It's still live. It's still live. So shame on you. Take it down. You've lied. You've been caught in a lie. And it's not cool. Take it down. All right. That's going to be it for me. If you're not following me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, you can follow me there at Let's Talk Live YTC, or reach out to me on Instagram at ltl.podcast. Connect with me on Instagram. If you need to message me, you can instant message me on either one of those platforms. I do return messages. And I hope this helped everybody tonight, and hope to shed a little light as to what's going on. And maybe we can start getting this information out there to bring Chelsea home. Danielle, again, thanks for the $4.99. Nijmak, thank you so much for the 1,600 yen. And yes, the good old name of Body Blow Biscuit Butter. Where do these names come from? The $1.99. Thank you so much. All right, folks, I'm going to have a good night. I hope you all have a good night. I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching the live show. I hope you subscribe and stick around and check out some more of these live shows, because you're missing out. You're missing out. We put good quality content here together, and we want to keep doing streams like this. We give away to charity as well. We just helped a victim of the Maui fire. She had a GoFundMe. She was about $500 away from her goal. We donated that $500 to put her over the top and get her that 10 grand to start her life. So Christine Borge, if you're watching, congratulations. I hope that 10 grand got released to you. And I hope that you can start rebuilding your life in Maui, because that was such a great thing that we did here on LTL, that we can give back, and we give back a lot. And I'm going to look for the next thing that we can do. But right now, I want to give back on this case because it's important. Everybody have an amazing Sunday night. Thank you for sticking around. Thank my voice for hanging out. I'm going to go rest my lungs, take my medication. I'll be back soon. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.